Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Crystal Plum.
I want you to all think back to your childhood or early teenage years. What was it that got you through those long bus rides to and from school? Or those long trips in your mom's van, maybe sitting beside an annoying brother or sister? Or even on the playground at school, what was it that made you feel cooler than the rest of your friends? That gave you street credit with your friends? Any guesses? Any thoughts?
An iPod.
Whenever you were back in the early 90s?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Game Boy? Maybe. Actually, I am thinking of CDs. And more importantly than the CDs, we had the Walkman CD player. You could take your music with you anywhere you wanted and listen to it anytime you wanted. We didn't have anymore our grandparents' record players or our parents' 8-track machines or even the portable radios but never played the music that we wanted to hear. We had CDs, and for this ease of listening, this quality sound, this esteem among our peers, we can thank Norio Oga. Now, Norio Oga never dreamed of becoming a big business leader or a leader of a large worldwide corporation. He actually dreamed of becoming a professional opera singer. He loved music, and he practiced and studied music all throughout his life. At an early age, he started taking music lessons. He grew up in Japan, and whenever he was living in Japan, most of the young men or boys in his town were sent to work in military camps or factories during World War II. But Oga had pleurisy, a lung disease, so he was exempted and able to stay home. So in the time that he stayed at home, he was able to take vocal lessons, voice lessons, and piano lessons. When Oga graduated high school, he moved 80 miles east of his small town to the big city of Tokyo. And in Tokyo, he went to the National University for Fine Arts and Music. And at the university, he studied and delved into music. He improved his piano playing skills, he refined his singing voice, but while he was there, he realized something was hindering his performance. The medium he was using to deliver his performance was not as good as it could be. The sound and recording equipment he was using was very poor. So he decided to write a letter. He wrote a letter to the company that made the recording equipment. And this company was so impressed with Oga's knowledge and his input and opinions at such a young age, our age now, he was writing to this company. And they were so impressed, they hired him as a part-time consultant. Little did Oga know that this company would eventually change its name and grow to become Sony. 10 years later, Sony convinced Oga to come on as a full-time employee. Now, Oga wasn't hired because he was professionally trained in business or management or principles of management and organization. But as a musician, he understood what musicians wanted. And as a consumer, he understood what consumers wanted. They wanted music that sounded good, with a product that looked good, and a product that made them feel good. So, at Sony, Oga took charge of branding and marketing and the design center, the design that Sony is known for today, the sleek matte finish, that is mostly due to Oga and his design ideas. Oga also worked closely with the engineers in product development. He not only wanted a smaller, more compact technology device, he also wanted to personalize it. And he was the first to really want to make a product that every customer that bought it made it feel like it was unique to them and that it was their own. So, in 1979, Sony first released the Walkman. And the first Walkman was a tape cassette player, but Walkman itself has that ring of a companion or a friend, something that you can take with you wherever you go, and you can always have it by your side. Oga also wanted to expand the capacity, or the amount of space that one thing could hold. So and the main reason for this, he wanted to fit the full 75 minutes of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony onto one disc. So in 1982, Sony was the first to release the CD as a product on the market. Oga also went on to lead Sony in purchasing Columbia Pictures, the major TV and film production company, and he championed over Nintendo competitors and released the PlayStation and PlayStation series. Throughout his life, Oga rose through the company of Sony, starting out as a part-time consultant and then rising to become a full-time employee. Then he became president by the time he was 40, and then CEO of the company. And in his final days as leader, he stepped down as a chairman, but all throughout his life, even until that very end, he was involved in the company, the decision and creative processes in the company. I don't know if any of you have heard or saw in the news, but Norio Oga actually died this past Saturday, but he left behind him a legacy of innovative products, and some would say revolutionary products. Our first Walkman and CD players that have influenced culture in major ways. And although I know most of you have probably moved on with the iPod, if you ever think back to those days where you just had your CDs, your Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears or Jennifer Lopez back when everyone did music. If you think about those days, you can now think of Norio Oga, the man behind the music.